Talia, who I love like she is my own. Talia is my bonus daughter. I have been blessed to be in her life since she was 2 years old, right? But she has an amazing mother, right? Tyra is her mother, and she is an amazing mother. And I do not ever, I have never and will never disrespect her mother, right? And try to act like I am Talia's mama, okay? I am her bonus mom. She is like my child, honey. When she ever need mama, and if mama ain't there, honey, tab showing up, okay? If something go down, honey, she knows she can call tab, right? But I am not her mom. So I have given birth to two children myself, who you know is Choice and Quest, right? I treat all my children the same. However, I don't have to worry about disrespecting my children, Choice and Quest mama, because I'm their mama, right? But I do always make sure I'm respectful when it comes to Talia, right? So when y'all see pictures with me and Choice, stop asking, well, why you ain't got pictures with your other daughter? Because I'm respecting her mama. I'm not going to be out here acting like I didn't raise this child and she is my child and I'm showing it off like, oh, this is my daughter. I'm not going to do that to her mother. So y'all stop disrespecting her mother, acting like she does not exist, okay? When you see Talia in pictures with me or, with our family and things like that, it's because she is our family. She is Chance's baby girl. She is his biological daughter, which makes her my child as well. But I'm the bonus mom, right? I get the luxury of being her friend and her mama when she need or chooses to have me as such, right? But I did not give birth to that baby. So stop trying to take that away from her mother, right? Stop trying to divide, right? My girls, they're sisters. My son, that's their brother, right? But she also has another sister and another brother as well from her amazing mother, okay? So we are a blended family, right?
Yo, 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 what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the In the Zone podcast. It is your boy, B. Foster. Brian Foster is in the building with my lovely co hostess, Sean Watson. What's going on, lady?
Not that I'm actually. So I'm gonna give Brian credit. It's a rarity that I do it,
Oh,
but we're
I'm
gonna
glad
do
we're
it today.
recording this.
This was your idea,
Mm-hmm.
I assume, because it personally kind of hit you. But I thought this was such a good topic, especially with how my life is going right now. So
Mm-hmm.
this is I'm excited to hear your perspective, other parents' perspectives, and hopefully I can walk away with some gems that I can use in my own life.
So, for everybody tuning in that doesn't know what today's topic is, today, as the video kind of precluded, we are going to talk about and discuss blended families. Uh, as we already know, 50% of marriages in America end in divorce, which in I think if my math is correct, about 35% of those people get remarried. So there's a lot of blended families happening. A lot of us have them going on. Some of us grew up in them. So we're going to discuss the trials, the tribulations, the joys, the wins, the victories, and some other. We're going to dig in a little bit and get a little personal too, and see how folks really feel about some things. So we're going to start it off before we introduce our guest. Chantel said something while that video was on. Tabitha said that she treats all her children the same. Chantel says that that's not true.
That's
that
some
people do not
bullshit.
treat all their children the same.
You can't.
Uh, Elaborate.
Okay, so as a parent, and I'm a parent of one, so that my thought is colored by that, right? You have various children with different personalities with different needs. How on earth can you treat them all the same?
I think when people say that, they don't mean they treat them all exactly the same. I give Chance the same amount of green beans I give Carlos. I mean, no, I think what they're saying is they feed into them and they nourish them the same emotionally. At
But
least,
you can't.
and they love them all the same.
But they all. I don't even. I'm gonna have a hot take. I don't even think parents love all their children the same. If you all would tell the truth, I think you like some kids better than others.
There's the key word. I love them all the same. I don't like them all the same.
I don't think you love them all the same either.
I don't like them all the same.
You love some more than others. I think you love them differently, and I think that's okay.
Loving them differently doesn't quantify though. Love them differently is that you just love them differently because you feed into them differently, and the way you interact is different. But you love them the same.
Nah.
You just don't. I like them all the same. Listen. If you got enough kids, and I got enough.
For everyone, yes, he does.
You connect with some of them differently, and sometimes better than you do the others. I have children that share similar interests as me, that are into the things I'm into, that like the things I like, that move the way I move, and we have a more natural connection than some of the other ones where I have to figure out how to move in their space to build that bond because they're not into what I'm into.
So are you gonna admit it on this show today? Because you normally admit it that you have a favorite. You love one the most.
Yeah.
Okay. Then why are you arguing with my point?
No, your point is that they don't love them all equally. I love them all equally. I just like some of them better.
I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. That you love them differently, or you may love some more than others. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Listen, you ask any of my kids who the favorite is, and each and every one of them will tell you, including the favorite. So,
shout out to Chase.
What up, baby girl?
Oh my God.
I know your mama won't let you watch, but you'll see this one day.
She can't watch this show. This is a good show for her to watch. Her tweeny self.
Anyway. So let me go ahead and we got one of our guests in. We're trying to get the other one online. But let me bring my boy in. This is my guy. We graduated from high school together. He been trying to get on the In the Zone podcast for a minute. And I've been playing him to the left.
Why?
I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
No, he's awesome. I'm the asshole. My boy Joel. What's going on, baby? Uh-oh. Audio, bro.
But he's unmuted.
No, it's his audio on his end.
Oh, no. You might want to hop in and hop out, maybe. Jake, you think
Yeah, try that. Yeah, try to hop in and hop back out.
And hop back in. Because I want to talk shit about how Brian keep bringing all these fucking Whitney Young people on this goddamn show.
Well, we want educated, good-looking people. Most of them went to Whitney Young.
I'm sure Hyde Park would disagree, especially after their reunion this weekend.
Let me tell you something. First of all,
what you gonna say?
Hyde Park, y'all got it in this weekend.
They did.
Y'all don't have a lot of attractive motherfuckers that went there, though.
I mean, now they kind of raised the bar because isn't Morgan Park doing something this weekend?
I think Morgan Park is this weekend.
Yeah.
But Hyde Park, you ain't messing with Hyde Park, CVS, Dunbar, Simeon, all them schools get it in. But that's because most of them.
What you gonna say?
Most of them graduated in the state of Chicago to fix cars and didn't really move nowhere, so of course they get in a little harder. When young folks kind of spread out and go all over the globe, so it's harder to reconnect.
The views of Brian Foster are not the views of Sean Watson and or the In the Zone podcast. So if you want to turn up on him, turn up on the Brian Foster page.
Bring
go
it
directly. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I don't even think most of them got internet, so I don't even know how they gonna get it.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Joe, you got some audio now, brother?
Yeah.
There we go. What's up, boy?
What's happening, man?
Man, ain't nothing to it. Listen, glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Breaking your In the Zone cherry.
I know, right?
In the Zone virgin, but
But you watch the show, you know what's up.
I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, he ready there.
You know how it goes down.
Good.
And then we have fan favorite Michelle, who I believe Edmonds, who I believe is trying to get on. And we will figure her out once she does. But we gonna keep the show moving until we get her.
We always have one person who has a hard time with. That's right, Dante.
Dante, you one of the 5 people that moved from your school.
Where'd he go?
And that was just recently. I don't even know where Dante went. some.
You know it wasn't Whitney Young. That's all you know.
It wasn't Whitney Young. That's what I know.
Sick of y'all fucking Dolphins.
Don't be a hater.
Eddie, I'm not about to get into this. We talking about blended families.
Blended
Goddamn
families.
it, let's
Blended families.
redirect. All right, Droll. Let's get a little background. Why don't you tell us your family? You're clearly in a blended family.
Yeah.
Like, let's get into how and when that happened.
Yeah, for sure. So man, I'm like B Foss. I got a lot of
Let's
kids.
see here.
I got a lot of kids.
What's a lot?
Well, actually, between my wife and I, we have seven. Um, of those seven, four are mine.
Okay.
And
Four
it's
yours with your wife, or four before you got married to your wife?
yeah. So my oldest is not with my wife before I got remarried.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had three with my wife, then we divorced and I got remarried. And she has three. And the blend gets even more interesting because the third, which is the oldest out of all the seven, is actually her stepdaughter,
Hmm.
who resonates more with her than with her birth mother.
Oh.
That's like adding some extra stuff to the blender because
That's
that's
another show topic.
yeah, that's another show topic. But yeah, so there's seven of us, and I guess in my advanced age, only two of them are minors. I have a 15-year-old. He just turned 15 2 days ago, and a 10-year-old. So everybody else is an adult. So it's even more interesting as they become adults because the dynamic changes a little bit even then.
We clearly should have a show on why you people keep having adult children and then having these 3-year-olds. What is happening here?
That's again another show.
Yeah, little show.
And yet another show.
All right, so B, you yourself also have some knowledge on this.
Mhm.
So I know you've talked about this, so this is going to be much of a rehash.
That's all right.
But yeah.
I might not have talked, but I have touched on it in some. There she is. So I'm father of four. Was married to my high school sweetheart, and we had two kids. And then we separated, got divorced. I got remarried, and then me and my now wife have two kids. And then my ex got remarried, and she has another child. So all told, in our little blend, there are five children. Funny, three of the four spouses went to Whitney Young. Crazy as that is.
Sick of y'all.
But it's yeah. So when we got divorced, both the boys are pretty small, 6 and 3, around those ages, and then my younger two are about 10 years apart from their aged counterpart, meaning my first child, and my first child with my now wife are 10 years apart, and then the second two are exactly 10 years apart. So it's an interesting mix, and it's a good time. We'll get into it. But we did find our other guest as in the zone veteran, one of you all's faves, Shelly Shell. She's gonna be muted. Is in the building. What's going on, Shell? Oh, hold on, Shell. We got to get you unmuted. Jake, I know. Yeah, our producer left the studio. I don't know where. Jake.
All right, here you come.
Michelle was on. And then
That
we need
was
to unmute
my intent on trying to be the sound engineer, which I was a big fat
That's
fan.
all over here, so I don't know.
her. There you go. We got you. What's going on, Shell?
Oh, now she's frozen.
She froze. Look at this. All types of. Look, she ain't go to Whitney Young.
She ain't go to Whitney Young. Jinx. She did, however, go to someplace a little bit more highfalutin than Whitney Young.
Well, they just spend money. They spend money for less education, but it's fine.
She's still muted.
No, now you got to unmute it, Jake.
There she go.
Hey.
Hey, what's going
Hi.
on, mama?
How y'all doing?
We good. We good.
Why they talking shit about your high school?
I heard them. That's okay.
St. Iggy's is awesome. It was an awesome high school.
Wow.
Haters gonna hate.
You know what I'm saying?
So, Shell, tell us about your blended family. We're all talking about our blended families and giving everybody the background. What's your situation?
Ooh.
Uh-oh, is she frozen?
Look, it's too many people using the internet now.
That's her blended family. All them teenagers.
All them damn kids. You know, all that
streaming
damn...
on TikTok right now. All right, let's try it again.
Muted.
Yeah.
Mm.
We are not.
I know, we are.
All right, well,
What's
then
the matter,
I will
Jay?
hop in here.
Just go to myself.
It's been happened before. So as I said, I'm very interested in this topic for my own selfish reasons because I know I've talked a little bit about my boyfriend and how, I got in a relationship last year, but he moved in and my daughter lives with me. So um, it's been interesting them figuring their way around, like being in the house together. Also, her dad, who's very active in her life, like trying to figure out their relationship. So, so far so good. Nothing nothing crazy has happened. Nothing even minor has happened. But you just wanna.
We've been living there all of 2 weeks. I mean, let's give it some time.
Been there 2 months
before the shit blows up.
I know, and she's 10, right? So we still got some time. Maybe when she turned 14, is you're not my dad. I don't know. Maybe that's coming down the line. I don't know. But yeah, so a little bit about me.
If you don't get one, you ain't my dad or you ain't my mom, you ain't living right.
But Tony be he's risk averse, so he's probably gonna be like,
it don't matter.
It's fine.
He goes,
I got your dad. You're totally
matter.
right. Let me buy you an iPhone.
You sure you're not gonna eat that asparagus? You're not my dad. You gotta get one of them.
Oh, he ain't really a stepdad?
Oh, you ain't really a stepdad.
You got that, babe? Because I know he watching. All right, Michelle, do we have sound with Michelle now?
I hope so.
There we go, boom.
Yay!
Right.
All right, you're a blended family. Get us up to speed.
So, I have probably every generation, but I have a 31-year-old who was adopted when he was about 8, because I was told I couldn't have any kids. And then my firstborn, natural born, is 18, about to be 19. Just sent him off to college. And then I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. So
absolutely having y'all back for why y'all keep having these kids with these big ass age gaps.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
So 2 marriages, of course. And like I said, with the adopted child, there's a whole other family involved as well, that we really don't interact with. But the 2 other families definitely are, blended together, if you will.
You got some real. I'm really interested in this. You got somebody with an adopted child? Mm-hmm. Good Lord.
Come on, we'll dive in.
All right, Michelle, since you were the last one, let's get a little bit more into this. Did you intend to blend families, or were you trying to find a partner without kids? You had the adopted son. When you went into maybe even your first marriage or your second, were you at all adverse to dating anybody with children, or did you want to do that?
I don't think it was part of my decision, to be quite honest. I will say when we adopted the first child, it was within my first marriage, and it was because it was something that we decided to do because we were told that we couldn't have kids. So we decided to adopt a child that was more of a family, or I'll say extended family baby, that was just kind of out there by himself, and he was always with us. And so we just did the right thing, and we adopted him. And then I had my first born child, naturally. And then I got divorced. After I got divorced, the plan was not to remarry at all. I was 100% like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And lo and behold, someone popped up, and needless to say, I got remarried. I knew I was on the hook for one kid because he had never been married, didn't have any children. So I knew I was on the hook for having a baby myself. So if he had come with a child, I don't think it would have made much difference. But because he didn't have any, I knew I was on the hook for one. The second child, though, she was our surprise. So, she wasn't playing, but, a welcome addition nonetheless.
Good Lord. On the hook for one. I would have tried to talk him out of that. Like, you see, I have this, 14-year-old. Let me figure this out.
But, I mean, that's true. I mean, he did love Seth. Like, y'all hear him talk about Seth all the time. Seth is his baby, regardless, right? But, I think that I knew that he probably would want a child of his own. And I wanted more children, but I didn't want to do that before I was in a committed relationship. And Seth had been asking for a younger sibling. So I didn't really mind doing it. I think it would have been different if he had a child coming into the relationship. But since he didn't, like I said, I knew I was on the hook.
Good for Michelle. People trying to make me have another kid. I said absolutely not. We are both fine. All right, Joel. What about you?
Yeah.
Was the plan? You already went through this first marriage, didn't work out for those reasons. You have these babies. Were you like, fuck that? Whoever I marry, they I no more kids. We just focusing on these, or did you want a blended family?
You said the plan. There was no plan. I after I got divorced the first time, I dated a few people, and some people with kids, some people without kids, some people with adult kids, some people with younger kids. Just just on the straight dating tip, not thinking about anything beyond that. And I have found that it was a lot easier for people to understand who had children or whose children were, maybe older, to sort of understand the situation that I was in. So I dated a girl who didn't have children at all, or her children were all grown, and just in her mind, like, my youngest is 10, and she was like, and of course back then she was like 6 or whatever, and she was like, oh no, my kids are grown. I don't know if I can do this, and that created issues because, very, extra involved in what the kids do. I coached their teams and met every school function, all of the events and all that stuff. So, yeah, she wasn't ready for that. But that was something that I realized I needed to, if I was going to date somebody, someone who had children, who understood that, and maybe their kids weren't babies, but they really sort of could embrace having children. And so, when my wife and I got together, her daughters were both teenagers. And so that kind of helped because my son was a teenager and my oldest was in her 20s, of course. But then the younger two were, kind of just growing up. And it was nice because her youngest daughter, she felt, kind of blessed to have a little sister now. She'd been the youngest for forever, and now she had a little sister and a little brother. So, yeah, I don't know that it was actually a part of the plan. It just kind of morphed and it worked. And, she was somebody who, like, really, she really like fed into the kids, and that kind of helped. So
Yeah, I hear that. I know you're coming to me with this.
Yes, of course.
So on my end, so after I got divorced, marriage was not on my mind. I had dated the same person dated and or been married to the same person for almost 20 years, since I was a teenager. So I wanted to hit the streets a little bit, and I did. So
For a whole 6 months.
well, no, it was a little bit longer than that. But so when I was dating, I wasn't dating with the intent of anything long term. Mm-hmm. So I dated everybody. I dated people with kids, without kids, kids same age as my kids, older kids, all of that. Right? It was whatever. Whenever you didn't have them damn kids, you had me, baby. So it was it was all good. So I didn't really have a plan. But when I met my wife, I will say that the fact that she did not have any kids was somewhat appealing, in that I didn't have, then there would be no baby daddy drama. Not that that necessarily is always going to happen, but I was dating one young lady, and her ex-husband was a son of a bitch. And it didn't even really, I don't even know if he even knew I existed, but just in general, in their interactions, she was going through the flux. And now I'm going to come in and insert myself into the flux? No, sir. I got enough stuff going on. I don't need your extra stuff. So the fact that she had a clean slate, and obviously that she bonded with my kids immediately, and they took to her, and she already had this, she's a pediatrician, so she already had this mothering kind of instinct. She knew, she's around kids all day, all the time, so she knows what the deal is. So all of that helped. But I did try to talk her out of having the two. I was like, listen, hold on, listen.
Did you, like Michelle, knew you had
I
to
knew
give
I was
her
on
a
the
baby?
hook. Oh, I knew I was on the hook. I knew I was on the hook. But I was telling her, I was like, listen, in 10, 11 years, we still young, and we can get out in this world. And the kids are gone.
She said, nah.
And she was like, get your ass out of here.
You giving me a baby.
Yeah, you giving me at least 2.
At least 2?
At least 2. And I was down for that, too. I love kids, and it was all good. And at the time, I thought I I could have girls. I was like, I only make boys. I'm, that type of dude.
Why do we
I'm
think
just
stupid
talking-
shit like that?
I just
Like,
It takes a real man to make a girl.
Yeah, I was talking that shit. Hold on, I was 3 out of 4. But and now my big girl's favorite. But still, yeah. So I did, to say that the fact that she did not have kids wasn't kind of a factor in my decision making, and taking her seriously in the first place would be dishonest.
So, okay, so I'm going to preface my question with a bit of a story, right, about myself. So, as I shared, this man has moved into the house. And before he moved in, there was a ton of conversation between him and I, between me and my daughter, between my daughter and him, between my daughter's father and I. It was a lot of conversation about how this would look. Like, what's the plan here? What's the strategy? What are the expectations? What are the feelings around this really big transition to bring a non-parent into the house, right? I guess my question to you guys is, what did you have a conversation about blending families before making the decision to, either marry or move in, or did y'all just kind of found yourself in it? Like, what did that look like? And I'm going to start with you because I see the wheels turning on you.
No, well, on my end, that question doesn't really apply because we only had the two. So
But you still had to blend them.
Yeah, but my wife's husband didn't have kids, and my wife didn't have kids. So that's really a conversation for them.
But I guess my question is, for you and Allie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your two sons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that conversation look like with Allie pre the other two about what it's going to look like for her to be a stepmother is really my question.
I see what you're saying.
Like, what's going to be her interaction? Is she even invested in being a bonus mom, or is she just kind of like them? Like that kind of what does that look like?
And I want them to jump in more than
absolutely.
me. But we didn't. I can't say we ever really had that conversation. She met the kids. So I'm as Joel said, and as I know Chatty is with Michelle, very active father. So the kids were there all the time, right? Like, we split custody. So when me and Asa moved pretty fast, so we started dating in like May, June, and then she moved in like December. So she had been around all the time anyway. So I'd already seen how her relationship was with the kids, how she interacted with them, how they took to her. And she already knew that if you're taking me seriously, you're taking them seriously. Mm-hmm. So that's a package deal. There is no, I only get them once a month on a weekend. Nah, they're here, and you're gonna have to be active. And she set it up. She said, she'll tell you right now, I love them like they're my own. Now, there are some boundaries that she had to place around that though, because as the young lady stated in the beginning of it, she's not their mom, and they don't want to step on mother's toes in some aspects, or mine. But it wasn't even really a real conversation because I already saw how she was behaving.
That was going to be my other question. And I'll ask Joel. So let's bring Joel back.
Yep.
Right? So same question to you, right? Was there conversation before, like, living together or getting remarried? And to Brian's latter comment, was it going to be a deal breaker? Like, let's say she was, because I do know somebody who got married and their wife was like, being a mom ain't my thing, but I know you got this kid, so they can come over, but I'm not going to be like taking them out for pizza and stuff like that. Right? Yeah. I'm just, I'm gonna do what I need to do, but we not gonna be like, I'll even share myself, for example. My stepfather and I don't get along at all. That's primarily because, I'm sorry?
I said, is he watching?
He might. He know we don't get along. That would not be a surprise to him. And that's primarily because he met me when I was very little. He met me when I was 5. And I don't think he really planned on, like, what that would look like to have a stepdaughter, right? Like, how is he going to interact? Was he going to care about my comings and goings? And he kind of acted as such. Like, I was just my mother's kid, and he would interact like, oh, you're there, so I'm going to make sure you're fed. I'm going to make sure you're not cold. Outside of that, he couldn't tell you anything about me. And he's been in my life since I was 5, and I'm 44. So I guess that's what I want to dig into. Like, like, You
So
got the context. Go.
no, for sure. Yeah. If you're asking me if there was a conversation, so yeah, there were multiple conversations. But to Brian's point, I have my kids all the time, so they were here, right? We um, literally started dating in April. We moved in September, and we actually moved into together to a house that we got together before we got married, and so everybody sort of came into the house new. Everybody came into the house new. Um, uh, you know, pros and cons to that, but I definitely had a conversation with my children, right? I wanted them to understand, what was happening, right? Because I had two younger ones. My oldest boy, he was okay with it, like he understood. But the youngest two, I just kind of wanted to make sure they understood, what was happening and what it all meant. She was conscientious to let them know that she wasn't, of course, trying to replace their mother, but she's going to love them like a mother. And it helped that she had her own children that were in the house. Well, one of them was in the house. The other one had just left to go off to college, so she wasn't in the house all the time. But one of them was in the house, and so it wasn't like they couldn't see her as a mom, and it wasn't like she didn't treat them like she treated her own daughter in the house. We just all kind of assimilated. So there, while we had the conversation, I think it was helpful that we moved into the house all together at the same time. And then it became our house. It was never like I'm moving into somebody else's house or we're going to stay at this person's house. It was kind of all of our house at the same time. Um, what didn't happen is I tried to have conversations with their mother ahead of time, and we had a testy divorce and testy relationship, and so there were times she didn't want to hear it, or she's like, I don't care about your life and that kind of thing. So I didn't really get a chance to have that conversation with her like I wanted to, and she doesn't blend herself with us per se. It would be great. I saw the picture. I saw the promo picture with all these people blended. It's not quite that blended because she does not blend with us. But at the same time, she also doesn't push the kids away or create issues with the kids or anything like that. So yeah, for us, it was just some basic conversations. But I think moving in the house together was probably the piece that helped make that transition so much easier.
Would it have been a deal breaker if your
Yes,
current wife was just
yes,
like, them your
yes,
kids? Yeah.
yeah. The answer to the question is yes.
Yeah.
You
Right,
know,
you ain't got to finish the question.
I
Yes.
no,
mean,
you know,
for some people, it wouldn't be.
no,
So,
and let me tell you why. All right, so you know, Brian said it. Like we said it. You know, we all come together. It's a package deal. But more than that, I can't really love somebody who can't love my kids. Like I just
Facts.
like it's impossible. Like and this is before we get married. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, and I have younger children, right? So I mean, not super young, but young enough. We got plenty of years before they're out of the house, and we got to go through this. And I got to watch my children feel like second class citizens or like be ignored or nah, we're not doing that.
Hmm.
okay, I respect that. Michelle, hop in here. So, there's a long laundry list of questions, right? One is if your husband was kind of like, them your kids, whatever, would that have been a deal breaker? And what was the conversation? Was there a conversation before blending, your children with him? Like, let's talk through that just a little bit. How that went down.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we decided that we were going to get married, um, I pulled both of them in a room together. And a lot of my friends make fun of me about this because they say I should write a book or whatever. But I was just really, for me, everything has always been about the kids, right? Like, it is important for the kids to have a good environment, something that is healthy. I didn't want any drama around the kids. I didn't want them to have to deal with drama because they're kids. Most times when you blend families, it's not the kids that's the problem, it's all of the adult drama that comes with it, right? So when we decided that we were going to get married, I pulled both of them in a room and I said, okay, we're getting married. We know we have kids together, talking to my ex husband, and I'm getting married and I'm probably going to have more children. And he's going to be around Seth the whole time because I have custodial, rights with the kids. So like I have primary custody of the kids. And so we're gonna have to find a way to make this work because what I don't want is I don't want there to be drama. I don't want them to feel angst. I don't want them to have to worry about what to say, how to act, how to be when they're in the room with any of us, and we have to be able to trust each other. It's a village. Like we have to do this together. Period. And I said, you guys can talk. I'm gonna step out the room and figure it out, kind of situation. Because they both knew me. I feel like they both knew me. They knew who the kind of person I was, the type of parent that I was. Um, I was going to keep him from his biological father. I'm not going to keep him away from Chad. We're not going to have situations where he can't discipline him and, he can't correct him. And none of that. So I said, you all need to figure it out, come to some consensus together, and then we can talk as a unit. So they had their conversation. And then when I came back in the room, we were both on the same page.
He's froze up a little
They
bit.
them kids on TikTok, god damn it.
Happens in my house all the time. All them damn devices.
Yes.
We'll come back to Shell, but yeah, I think they both raise a great point in that the conversations really are. So you had a conversation with your significant other, but then you got to have these conversations with your ex significant other.
And those are fun.
Yeah, those are always a good time, and potentially they're now significant other. So those are always they can be, and that depends on. It sounds like Michelle and her ex had a somewhat, at least amicable situation.
Mm-hmm.
As Joel said, him and his was a little more testy. I was blessed to have a really great relationship with my ex, and she picked an awesome dude to get married to. So had nothing but love and respect for that man. So and she has nothing but love and respect for Allison. When as Jewel said, she moved into my condo for like a month, and then we moved into a place we bought together. So it wasn't like again that like she's invading our space. Like we kind of moved in new all together. And when I brought it to my wife, and I was like, I think because again, my ex-wife, excuse me. I proposed a year after we were dating, almost kind of soon. And when I brought it to her, I was thinking about it, she was like, yeah, fool. You bet you better. I love that woman. She's fucking awesome. So
She's like, when you making this happen?
Right. You taking too long. So I was blessed in that regard.
You were lucky.
So those conversations were super easy.
That's not, and I'll say for myself, right? Because we're still navigating it. It got to a point where Tony and Ron, who's my daughter's father, they had to have a conversation to kind of get on the same page, which I haven't heard anybody discuss, right? Where
I was going to say that. I was just going to bring that up. That her ex-husband and I sat down and talked, and it was a great conversation. I've got nothing but respect for the guy. I like him a lot. Like he's been to our house, like he's hung out, like we've done things together. My daughter just graduated from the Air Force, and we were all there. Excuse me. Was that echo me? Or was that?
Oh, you're hearing an echo? We don't hear an echo on our end.
Okay, good, perfect. And we all got pictures together, and it was all it was a grand occasion for us. In that we were all sort of able to get together. It's just on my side that didn't quite balance out. But I will be honest, it's such a great feeling, and they were already friends, right? Her and her ex were already friends, and so that made it a lot easier. He even came to me and said, you're a good guy, and I have a lot of respect for you. So yeah, I'm really happy for you guys. And so I was like blown away by that, based upon my own experiences on the other side. My ex isn't remarried. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't have anything. She's just kind of doing it. Yeah, I know. And I wish she would get a man, because then she wouldn't be so worried about the shit that goes on over here, because she always got something to say. But that's because she ain't distracted. She need a distraction. So I'll send a number out if anybody's interested.
While we try to hook up the baby mama, I don't understand.
No. He's 100% right though. If so, women always seem to think, hey, y'all don't ever want us to hook up. Yeah, please get with somebody else.
Please.
So please.
Would you date? Wait a minute. Now this has nothing to do with the topic, but you go date somebody that Faja suggested you date to get you off her?
Is she fine? Shit. Yes.
What?
Yes.
That feels like a setup. I'd be like,
Well,
absolutely.
even if I
fine.
didn't set it up, what I'm saying is, go get you a man, please.
Right.
I understand what y'all trying to say. I got that woman's back. Maybe she's real particular about her children.
Okay. Fine.
I don't
Whatever.
know her. I'm just throwing out a hypothesis.
Okay.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
God damn it. I'm distracted. What were we just talking about?
No,
The conversations.
yeah, have
I
the
was sharing
conversation.
that Ron and Tony did have a conversation where they bonded over making me the enemy, which was fine. Whatever they need to do to get on the same page was totally fine with me. And they've actually been they not like watching football games yet. I do have a sense that that's coming, but they were able to figure things out and have a path forward about what their roles will be in Sally's life, which
That's awesome.
I think so. I mean, again, I'm still waiting for the "you're not my daddy" moment.
And that might not happen. I'm just talking crazy. But it might.
It might. It might. All right, what's the next? Okay, so we haven't really talked about challenges and advantages of being either a bonus parent or having a bonus parent. And since Michelle has kind of hopped back in here, let's start with her. Can you talk us through like the advantages and the disadvantages of having a bonus parent?
So I think let's start with the positive, right? The advantage is for me, and now I have a daughter too. So, but just thinking about the fact that there are few children that have a father in their lives, and my children have two, and they have two that are very active. They are responsible. They are successful in their own right, and smart. Went to college. Really good role models, and I think that is a commodity in our community nowadays. So I think that is a huge advantage. They have a very diverse upbringing, so they have different They have parents from different backgrounds, from different upbringing. That they're kind of, gleaning a lot of, I guess, experience from. So I think that is a good thing. I guess the hard part or the challenges, I think, is the outside world. Having to explain to the outside world, what our family dynamic is. A lot of people, and I still hear it today, they're just like, wow, I can't believe that all of you all are always together. You attend things together. So like we're at games together, we're at functions together, we have parent-teacher conference together. All three of us are on all paperwork for school. So I think the response that we get from the outside world is sometimes a challenge, and we have to kind of help our children through that and speak to them on how to deal with that and why people say the things that they say or may feel the way that they feel about our family dynamic. So I think that is part of it. And even our own family, like, some of our own family members have expressed feelings of, why is that other dude always around? Like, mind your business. It's none of your business why he's always around. This is our family. This is our unit. And you don't like it, you can see your way out. So, I mean, I think that those are the challenges, the outside world and their viewpoint and perspective.
How are your children handling having to discuss that? Now I'll share this tidbit. I'm sharing a lot as somebody who's just getting into the blended family game. So right now my daughter is having to have conversations fairly regularly with her friends, right, to understand who this new man is, right? And I think part of the conversation is because she's black.
Mm-hmm.
She has this man in the house, and she's starting to get questioned like, well, where's your daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not around? And her father's there all the time. She talks to him almost every day. He takes her, when he's in town, because he travels for work. When he's town, he is doing pickups and drop-offs and piano lessons and swim lessons. Like, he's very active.
Mm-hmm.
So she's having to have these conversations, being frustrated, and she's getting a bit hostile that people are assuming that she's fatherless because she has this new man in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question becomes like, are your children experiencing anything like that? If they have, like, how did they navigate that?
So I will say with Seth, when it first happened, Seth was very confused and he didn't know how to address it, right? At first, he was just like, I know you're my stepdad, but I already have a dad. I don't know what to say or what to do. And I think that he was faced with the fact that he felt like he had to make a choice. Like, did you had to choose who your father was going to be? Was it going to be your real dad, or was it going to be now your stepdad, right? And Chad alleviated that from the very beginning. Like, he told him, your dad is your dad. He's always going to be in your life. He was like, and I'm not going to take anything from him. He is a great father. He was like, think of it this way: you have a dad and a Chad. So, and that's the way he's always kind of
Cute.
approached his life. And I think it was easier for him. Well, that was the, kind of like the experience for him. But for the littles, like, that's all they've ever known. He's always been around. So I don't think that they really care what people think. I don't think that they really um I don't think they're really bothered by it. I think if people ask them, they will just tell them the truth. Oh, that's my brother's father. And that's just kind of how we raised them. Like, I never I I didn't have to deal with drama, so we never had to separate the two, right? So because he's been in their lives from the beginning, he's family as well, and they know that that's Seth's father. So I think that has been a saving grace for us too. So I think equipping them with the knowledge to be able to verbalize it so that they understand it and that they can kind of speak to it and speak to their truth is important too. So, like, even just giving her the tools that she needs to explain, what's kind of going on, and just making her be okay with her situation, I think will give her confidence to be able to deal with it.
All right, Joel, let's let you hop in here and kind of talk through that. Like, what are the challenges and the advantages of being and having a bonus parent?
Yeah. Um, so I think from my perspective, the advantage of being a bonus dad is I can play a role. Like, my stepdaughter's their dad is very much involved in life. He doesn't live in the same city as us, but that's their father. And again, I came into their lives. They were teenagers, so it was a little easier for them. And I have just kind of been the guy sort of helping fill the gap when their dad wasn't here. Um, you know, oh my God, I got a flat tire, they're going to call me, or oh, I need help doing this, they're going to call me because I'm the guy who's right here. And he, even so much had that I had him, reach out to me and say, thanks for doing that. The pro for her, I think, being a bonus mom to my children is again when they're here, she's a really good cook, and they love her cooking, and they just they thrive around the kitchen and in the kitchen and doing things around like food and eating. And I just they know it's not their mom because they're not babies, but they know they have another person that they can reach out to or talk to or get advice from. And hey, look, my mom and dad aren't really vibing right now, I need another person to talk to. That bonus parent always can fill that void and just kind of be that person, be like, hey, what's up, just talk to me, and sort of manage the emotions behind whatever that situation is that maybe myself or their mother might might not. We might be like, what's your problem, what are you doing? And the bonus mom might be like, whoa, relax, just kind of talk it out. And then the cons are very that I think we talked about it earlier. My daughter is 10, my youngest is 10. That there's that moment, right? Her mom's not absentee, right? There's that moment where maybe something that she's doing here in this house differs from what she's doing over at her mother's house. And there's that, I'm about to be a teenager, I'm about to get these attitudes, I'm about to get this, head rolling, and she may get that you're not my mom situation. And as a bonus parent, you kind of got to deal with that and the emotions around it, right? You're like, I'm over here, raising you like you're my own. And you're gonna hit me with you're not my mom, and so there's that whole idea that there'll be those moments where the kids will be like, I ain't gotta do what you say. Now, I've been blessed so far that my kids aren't disrespectful like that. But again, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she is, it's coming. I can feel it already. And so just kind of balancing that and being on the forefront of making sure those things are addressed immediately from my perspective. But yeah, just that whole, when I get in my feelings, I don't have to necessarily respect you, or I don't have to look at you the same way because you aren't my parent. I'm fearful that may surface itself. You notice I didn't say that about my son. I doubt that he'll ever do that. But that girl, I'm telling you, it's coming.
Why are we trying to make it like the boys don't?
He said specifically his.
I'm just saying.
Don't
It
be
can
trying to
happen, boys.
Don't be trying
You
to make
not
a
my
blanket
dad.
statement. Don't be trying to make it a
Well,
blanket
you not my
statement.
mom. All that could
That's
come.
why, but that's why you got to be on the
Also,
same
I think
page.
the other thing. I'm sorry, Michelle. What'd you say?
I was gonna say you got to be on the same page. You got to take that manipulation point away. You have to be. You got to get the end of the deal.
You got wind happening.
Oh, I'm
She got
sorry.
a
Can you
fan
hear me
on
now?
Yeah.
That was a fan.
Okay. I was gonna say you have to get in front. You have to get in front of that. You have to, get in front of that A ball, and you have to, cut off that manipulation point, so they know that you can't go back and forth.
And they have to see you as a unit, right, and understand that you're gonna.
Yep.
I love you, and I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of you and be good to you and give you all you need. But this is also my partner, and
Right.
you can't manipulate
We
me.
talk about everything. So.
Yeah.
Jake, is that Latrice Love piece? I think that's a powerful and a correct statement, right? Most of the challenges come from the maturity level of the adults.
I agree.
Not the kids. And so when we're talking about the advantages, I think Shelly and Jay have touched on them, like the added support, right? The extra listening ear, because sometimes they might not want to talk to mom and dad because it's mom and dad, but they do want to talk to an adult that they know loves and cares about them, and so they might have that conversation with them. It's gonna get back to us anyway, but however that has to happen. And to be honest, at least for my two, so I, especially in the beginning, had this guilt about the divorce. So I mean, when I say they got two Christmases, they got two Christmases.
Right.
They got two birthdays. Boy, did they get some that tailed off eventually, but them first 4 or 5 years, I spoiled rotten.
I know they couldn't stand you after them 4 or 5 years ended.
Well,
you gave them regular Christmas.
Well, particularly once I had other kids, I was like, I ain't got no money like that. But so you do go above and beyond sometimes, and they get that piece. But I think having that unit, as they said, where you share that space, and if everybody's on the same accord, it's gravy. So, for example, in my situation, a situation arose where they had a weapon in the house, and in general, their stepfather, they call him Pops, is very, 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 very good about locking it up, so on and so forth. But they were having some work done in the crib, and one of the workers had a key. So he was keeping it in his dresser at night because, the workers get a key out to their cousin or whoever, whatever. The worker's shady, you never know. So he had it in the nightstand real fast. I'm sorry, I'm taking this long. But anyway, one of my sons got in the drawer and picked up the gun. Now, nothing happened. Everybody's safe. Everybody's fine. Whatever. But that didn't even necessarily have to come back to me, because it didn't happen in my house and nothing happened, and they dealt with it. But he called me, and he said, I wanted you to hear this from me. That's on me. I would never put your boys in harm's way. As a matter of fact, I have it here to keep them out of harm's way. But I slipped up this one time, and of course, the one time I slipped up, he got at it. But I wanted you to know that I apologize, and that I love and respect them, and I would never put them in harm's way. I can't tell you how much respect I have for that.
Did you cry?
No, but I mean, almost. But
because you sound like you're about to cry right now.
I was a little younger and harder then. As I get older, I'm getting soft as shit. But it really did. Yeah, it really did. We were already great, but it really does solidify the maturity of the relationship and the respect he has for me and them, and that's reciprocated. Now, the downside.
Yes.
If you're not on the same accord, if you and your ex have your own issues, that can be contentious. So I have another friend who got divorced, got remarried, had some kids, whatever. Eventually, his wife got remarried and did her own thing. But in the meantime, in between time, she was driving a wedge intentionally between their son and him. intentionally because on some vindictive shit. And eventually, you know, truth came to light and everything worked itself out and everybody's good. But when everybody's not happy with the way the relationship ended or happy about the relationship you're in now and the kids get used as a tool of manipulation in that way,
That's messy.
that's where it goes crazy.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets nuts.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna shift gears and ask like a very be false question to kind of lighten this up. Because we've been talking about these old nice ass kids who doing well and making A's in school and all the parents get along and yada yada. Like,
Wait, I ain't say all my kids making A's.
This all cute or whatever.
You said,
but Joel, if you die,
Great question.
are your kids getting are the bonus kids getting some monies?
You know, when I read,
No, not some monies. The same monies as
Listen.
your birth children.
All the
am I
bonus
splitting
and
it
the.
evenly?
You said what?
You asking me, am I splitting it evenly?
Yes.
Okay. So when I read this question earlier, I was like, "Damn!"
Right.
He wasn't
Right for the jugular.
I wasn't ready. And I'll be straight up with you. The way I'm set up now, no. I'm just being honest with you. The way I'm set up now, no. Now my wife gets money, right? And I guess in my mind, I'm like, you need to break them kids off. But I guess the way I'm set up now, no. And I never thought about it like that. Honestly, I never thought about that. Part of the reason being is because, again, her children are adults now and they're out of the home and starting their own lives. And if they were still young and they were still here, it would probably be a hard yes, right? It would be like, yeah, you know, because everybody needs to get taken care of. But yeah, like that's not the way I'm currently set up.
Sounds like you need to do some work.
But do I?
I guess that's a good question. Do you?
Right.
I would
So
challenge that you do, only because you know you don't know when your time is. You don't know what circumstances are gonna be.
okay, so as a man, the idea is that you want to take care of people now and in death, right? But I would ask her the same question: are my children set to receive money from her if she passes away? Probably not.
I think that's a fair question.
It's probably not. And I don't like. I'm not offended by that. Like I'm not angry by that. I'm not frustrated by that at all. I get it. I understand. If she passes away, most of what she get comes to me. The kids are going to benefit from that anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't. Yeah, I don't. The way I'm currently set up, no. How about that? That's the answer to my question.
That's fair. You know, Brian was asking this messy ass question to be trying to get under people's skin.
When she comes home tonight, I'm gonna say, "Hey,
they gonna write on the wheel."
It's a conversation.
See where that goes, right? Because we've never talked about that. Like we've never talked about that.
Yeah.
I told her to watch, so she might be watching.
I can't even. My eyes are going. I swear.
You old.
I am old. So maybe the other parent would also leave them money. Oh, I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
That's the question.
That's a really interesting question. All right, Michelle. Same question.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the question really is for Chad, right? Is Chad gonna set things up to make sure all the babies are taken care of?
Wait, why is it just on Chad?
Oh, that's right.
I'm sure Shell got a life insurance policy.
I do.
You see?
But I mean, so okay, but we did talk about this, right? So when I got married to Chad, like that was the question. When I first got divorced, everything went to Seth, right? Seth and his brother, and my sister. And so the way I have it now is that everything goes to Chad. If me and Chad together on the cruise and we both kick the bucket, then it goes to my sister and she takes care of the kids. So like I have built contingency, I guess I'm gonna say. But as it is set up right now, if I leave here tomorrow, Chad gets everything, but he knows my wishes about what I want to go to my adopted son, for instance, right? So he knows, you know, what I want to go, you know, I want you to take care of him just like you would the rest of the kids. So, I mean, that's a conversation that you have to have, I feel, if you're in a marriage. Like before I got married, it was the way I wanted it. But after I got remarried, then I had to have a conversation. This is what I want. This is why. We both agreed. So right now, everything Chad gonna be set up. Now you better take care of these kids, or I'm gonna haunt them. Okay,
Give
and I
them
know
lip
you
dick.
listening. You better take care of these kids, or I'm gonna haunt you. Okay.
No, that's right.
So,
Hey,
but
look, you know
that's the
Shell
way
got a
that it's
big
set
ass
up.
house. She done been in 6 different rooms this show.
She has. Every time she come on, it's a different
It's a different
background.
room.
Look, I'm so tired of this Wi-Fi.
Tell them kids get off of TikTok.
Girl.
All right, B. Now I know you got money. So
I mean-
what you and Allie doing?
They all mine, so.
Okay, then
So
what Allie
I
doing?
I don't have the
Then-
bonus parent
Then what's
Yeah.
Allie doing?
other side. What's Allie gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, so if Allie goes,
Yeah. What's I was gonna call him Derek. That is not his name. The other
Devin?
children and Cameron. Yes.
I would assume that right now, she probably does not have them in her will in any way. I would assume. To be shit, this is a question I gotta go home and ask. I don't even know if I'm in that month.
Messy ass question.
Yeah,
and don't even have
I don't even
a
know if I'm in that joint. Everybody all go to her mama. But
Damn.
He's like, he ain't getting nothing. The kids
Hey.
get everything.
Hey, there's no doubt about the pecking order at my house.
Wow.
Her mama, me. But I would assume that. But if it was me, if the roles were reversed and I was Allison, I would probably chop. And I was, we're not doing give it to the spouse to deal with it. It's all going to the kids. I would probably divvy it up equally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
You know, it's a fair point, B, because they are all yours. You don't have the extra.
Right.
So,
So we have to
so I
look at it
don't
from
have
like
the-
Allie's perspective.
Yeah.
I will say we have had the conversation. Tony and I have had the conversation. So his son has his own policy, and Sally's policy goes to my mother. In case my mother's not here, we'll go to her father because I would expect Sally to go with her dad. And I think me and him would have a policy on each other, and I think that makes the most sense. Like everybody gets their own pot to be
money.
taken care of in the event of one of us
I got
passing.
7 kids though.
I'm about to say-
I know, we only got the
I'm about to say,
Good luck with all them policies.
hey, State Farm will love your ass.
I know,
You
right?
how the policies going. Jake from State Farm would be at your Christmas party like,
Hey, I'll be on some commercials. I bet I'll be on some commercials.
absolutely.
Oh my God, you and him. Y'all got a lot. Both of y'all got. I mean, you have 7 kids. You got a lot of kids. So that's a lot of policies.
Yeah, it's a lot of policies.
Good Lord. All right. Do you have? I've been talking this entire time.
I've
You
been
don't got no
talking.
freaking questions for the people?
Well, I wrote these questions. What are you talking about?
I didn't know if he wanted to hop in.
No, go ahead.
All right. I think this last question. How have you overcome barriers or hurdles? I think we kind of talked about this with the challenges, or maybe we didn't. Like, how do you? Because there has to be some challenges with the kids, right? Or maybe
Sure.
with the exes. Like, what is the process? And we'll start with Joel, only because I really just want to see the bear sign. Like, how are you overcoming challenges with the kids and the ex when they arise? Is it for sure just always communication? Are we just gonna always be mature, or y'all gonna be messy? Like, what's the process?
No. This is a good question because, I have, in our house, I've noticed that the way that she disciplines her kids and the way that she disciplines my kids is very different. And I think she does that because she's like, I don't want to create an environment where they look at me like I'm crazy. And my kids kind of already know who I am. But I do like that when those situations arise, she talks to me first, hey, this thing is happening. And then I usually just encourage her to, go talk to the kids. We're like, go tell him, go say it, go tell him, go talk to him and tell him what the problem is. And what she doesn't understand sometimes, and I know it's growing, it's a work in progress, is that I believe very strongly they're going to respect what she says a lot faster than what I say. That they're going to, I'm not tooting the horn of my children, but they're very respectful children. And when someone that is sort of, in a non-mom dad position comes to them and says, hey, XYZ, they're always taken aback. They're like, wow, I mean, there's one thing for my parents to notice, but it's another thing for somebody else to notice. Man, I really need to sort of adjust this. And that's kind of the way both of my youngest are, in that in their entire life, I haven't been one of those parents who just kind of let them do things. Like when things happen, I try to address it right away so no one else has to address it. So when someone else has to address them doing something, like it catches them off guard and they're like, oh, this is really a problem because someone else is telling me, not just mom or dad. So I encourage her. One, it balances out, right? I grew up in a house where my dad was a disciplinarian. My mom was after you got a whooping, you go talk to her. But that isn't the case. I don't like that dynamic. And so discipline comes from both parents, bonus or otherwise. And everybody kind of knows. And then that puts us on the same page. That puts me and her on the same page. I scolded you for this thing. She scolded you for this thing. We are scolding you for this thing. It's that's the way it works around here. And that helps a tremendous amount. I think Michelle pointed it out earlier, is that, you just kind of have to stay on the same page. You have to stay on the same page. It's not always easy. And I'll be honest with you, there have been times where I have been almost said, whoa, 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 are you talking to my child like that? But I got to recognize that if I don't allow her to assert herself in that way, it's not damaging. It's not like, life threatening or anything like that. But if I don't allow her to assert herself that way, now I'm going to create that divide, that division. They're going to be like, all right, well, I ain't got to do what she said. I just do what he said. I can ignore her. So I have to allow her the opportunity to assert that. And so that's kind of how we work it in our house.
I didn't think about that. That's a really good point, Joel. Like giving the bonus parent the ability to discipline and to assert themselves.
They gotta have voice.
Without interference from the custodial parent,
yep,
or the biological parents, because that does create "you not my daddy" kind of attitude, right?
That's right.
But
that's probably where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah.
But it causes a problem between. But it causes a problem between you two as well, because then it's just like, oh, you don't trust me, like how we together, but you don't trust that I have the best intentions for your child too.
Right.
Yeah. No facts.
How do you navigate? And then we'll get to you.
Michelle didn't even get a chance. We gotta get Michelle in there.
Michelle, come in, because I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was the question? I don't even know what the question was.
So the original question was like, how do you overcome challenges with the children
and or the
other parent, right? But I think just building on it as well, what if the bonus parent, from your purview, oversteps a little bit? Like, what does that conversation look like?
So I will say I respect that parent in that moment, and I don't jump in at that moment. Like if it's not detrimental, you're not doing something damaging or whatever, I let you have your moment, and then I'm gonna talk to you later. I'm gonna say, okay, I hear where you're coming from when you said X. However, I don't agree, and then we will dialogue about that, and we talk about, okay, well, what is the next step after we've had a dialogue on it? So either you're gonna go back and have a further conversation, or we're going to have a conversation together, but we have to figure it out, right? But I don't think the right thing to do is to correct in the presence of the child. That's just my opinion.
Agreed.
No, agreed.
You got a lot of questions to answer there, B. How do you navigate all them hurdles, all them landmines with the other parent? Apparently you got Mary Poppins over there, so your life is real light.
Let me not right. Well, yeah, that's I was going to address that. Let me not paint this rosy rainbow and kittens and unicorns. I mean, I am lucky based on some conversations I've had with some other folks, but we don't always agree. We don't always see everything eye to eye. We don't always align on what's the best course of action. Mm-hmm. So what we've done in the past, particularly about bigger decisions, we all come together as a unit. Well, let me say this. We used to do that. We used to come together as a unit, but there was a conversation one time where we were basically referred to as the funhouse. And
well, what's wrong with that?
Well, that because the insinuation was things get done here. When they go to your crib, it's all popcorn and movies and bullshit. So let's just say that didn't land well.
I imagine.
So the communication avenues changed after that. Okay. It rubbed both of us a certain way, and so we had to change how we communicated around that, and I took more of a forward step in that. And I'm going to be 100% frank and honest. There have been times where my ex and I have been having a conversation about something with one of the boys, some decision that's got to be made or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, well, the two of us are talking about it. It's our kid, and this might sound shitty. The bonuses are gonna fall in line. Gonna have to fall in line with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Because at the end of the day, we got to make this decision, right? And then she'll often, it's probably a more respectful thing. I'll own it. Say, well, let me talk to such and such about it. What the fuck you talking to him about it for? I already said what it is, right? But we all have to be on the same accord about it.
Yeah.
So sometimes that has smallly irked me.
Well, how'd you overcome that? Where is she saying, I gotta go talk to my husband, I don't give a fuck what you talking about. I gotta talk to my husband. Because that's basically ever so politely said.
I also understand that, I don't know how to say this without sounding sexist. But I also understand that that's partially her role in that relationship. I'll say that. I
don't think that's sexist.
He's very much the leader of that house. And any decisions, and the financial leader especially. So any decisions that's made, she can't just make them loosey-goosey because at the end of the day, he got to finance that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So me understanding that, and again, respecting the shot, him being willing to do it, right, puts me back in a proper perspective. But there, to Joel's point earlier, though, we've got, not that boys are a little older, they're 22 and 19. My wife is very much go talk to them about this. And I'm like, you go talk to him if you got it. She's like, you go deal with it. And not because, again, that they're going to game my mama or nothing like that. It's just, I think she's just poured so much into them already, and it's shifted to the younger ones because they need more energy. Shit, so have I. And she's like, she's so invested in what's going on there. The little stuff that goes on with the older two, she's like, I'm not pressed about it, but but please have a conversation about it because I don't want to see not one more dirty sink. I'm a dumb more dish in the sink. And I done told him twice and they ain't doing it, so daddy go do daddy.
Lord.
But so I say all that to say it's not always as easy as having a conversation, whatever. Sometimes it takes several conversations. Sometimes, a lot of times, it takes you backing down, swallowing some ego, letting the other person have it, unless you just are staunch on it, right? Unless this is something I'm just like, no. That motherfucker cannot get a tattoo on his eyelid. I don't care how cool.
Did you birth Trippy Red? I don't understand what's happening here.
I'm making an extreme point, but I'm saying there's some things you just put your foot down and you go to the mat for. And there's other things it's like, all right. It's kind of like in basketball, and Joel probably can relate to this, I'm sure. You're playing pickup basketball, and their calls are disputed. Like, I traveled, you fouled, blah, blah, and you can argue about it for 10 minutes and slow the whole game down. You say, you know what? You got that one. I get the next one. Mm-hmm. So it's very much like, you know what? I'm gonna let you have that one. The next time we have one of these conversations, I want to run it, and as long as everybody is cool with that, this give and take, it helps to work out. But these conversations are tough when you're talking about your kids' futures.
It's not only difficult because of that, right? I think it's to your kind of pickup game kind of analogy, right? What people have to know, my father used to tell me all the time in marriage, and I'm gonna liken it to like raising kids too, like you have to know the stuff you're gonna stand firm on. And he was like, and only have like a few of them. He's like, just have like 3 or 4 and let everything else be malleable. Like be flexible with everything else. And I think with children, you kind of have to be similarly the same way. And especially when you have multiple people you're parenting with, because there are going to be some things they care about that you don't. And everybody has to learn how to have to play their position at the time that they can play those positions. Yeah. To the basketball analogy.
But all of it, and I think we've all said this, it's all, and Michelle just touched on it, it's all about trust.
Yep.
It's trusting the person you've chosen to bring into your child's life, and trusting the person that you're co-parenting with has brought into their life. Another quick story.
Your stories are never quick.
This one's quick. So the oldest is smelling himself.
Well, he is 20.
Not now, I'm saying, but
okay.
when he was a teenager, he all boys do this. they nuck and they want a buck and they want to test, see if they can take dad or stepdad out. And he was on some nonsense, and his bonus dad tossed him up a little bit.
Okay.
He called me. He said, "Hey, again, I just want to let you know, this is what happened. I want you to hear from me first. Boom, bap, dip." I said, "That's all you gave him?" On my way. Then I came over and whooped his ass worse. Because I'm going to back him up. Because he was 100% wrong. He had said something towards his mother.
Oh.
Stepdad checked him. He ducked like he wanted to buck. Which is crazy to me because his stepdad like 6'7". I don't even know what he was thinking. But
he was testosterone, that's what he was thinking.
he like 5'7", maybe. But
why you do Devin like that?
I'm giving him 5'7". He should be happy if he's listening. Because I don't think he can get that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But because I trust that man in the decisions he's making. Mm-hmm. So and I'm going to back him up, as we said. If we are all four of us are a unit. You're not going to be like, there's nothing like that dad said no, mom said yes shit. Nah. Mom said no? All right, I think it's done, but mom said no. then I'll talk to mom about it.
Well, I'm going to say this. Either you all are the most mature co-parenters on earth.
I couldn't find nobody ratchet.
I'm just saying, like, everybody's mature. Everybody has very loving, or at least from what we're hearing, loving relationships, which I appreciate. Like, I'm not saying that people should be in a lot of mess and there should be a lot of drama. But the focus should be to have as much cohesion and quiet.
That's it.
As much as you can in this kind of situation, because it's complicated and it's a lot of moving parts, especially with 14 people in the situation. Shout out to Joel.
How you gonna double up?
I was counting like aunties and grandmas and stuff.
You doubled up. I gave you a specific number and you doubled up.
Right.
Wait, now hold on.
If you count you, the current, the two exes, it's knocking on. It's double digits, homie.
A lot of moving parts over in that household.
Hey,
wow.
But all right, we're going to wrap up. I just want to point out how, because people have been in the comments like, where the devil step kids, and this is a lot of kumbaya, but I think that's okay. I think it's okay for things, and I mean, I'm sure, as we talked about, things are not always okay. And you have to go through your seasons of peace and of some seasons of chaos, but I think if you're always committed to the peace, and you're committed to everybody being communicative, you'll always make it through the chaos, I think. But again, I'm still at the very beginning of this, waiting for you ain't my daddy conversation.
I love my share of drama. Don't get me wrong. Ain't no like saint children over here. It's some hellions at times. And again, I'm going out there. I'm going to put it out there, and you can quote me on it and save this as a clip. The girls are way worse than the boys. Way worse. Way worse.
I don't have female slander on my show.
I'm not slandering. I'm just making a statement. There are more girls in this house. There are more girls in this house than boys, and I promise you, raising boys is easier.
No.
The show has more boys than girls.
Whatever.
I'll say this.
Hold on, Shannon. I want to co-sign what Joel is saying, but flip it. I think for men, it is easier to raise boys than girls. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that applies for women and girls.
That's because y'all be all soft on y'all daughters. That's the thing. And they be running over y'all like a fucking freight train.
Damn right. Damn right.
And then y'all like, they so hard. Well, if you got her together.
No, they're easy because we just do whatever they want.
Then you make it hard for the moms.
Yes.
Because you do whatever they want. And then the mom got to be the nose. And then they be like, I hate you. My dad. You be like, oh,
what you
be with your daddy.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, I just said it all.
Yes. Because Chad still carries his daughter to the breakfast table every morning.
How old is she?
6.
I ain't nothing wrong with that.
I disagree, but I mean,
is she a little 6? Is she a small 6?
She is 6.
But is she a little 6? She a little 6 or a big 6?
She is 6.
Is she a little 6 or a big 6? You heard my question.
She can walk
to
to
the
the
table.
breakfast table.
It's the point.
He tells her brother, go on, it's time to go to breakfast. Her, He picks her up and she rubs her eyes. He carries her to the table. I was like, this is enough.
Shell,
Enough.
hold on.
Move.
I carry my daughter to the breakfast table. She's 12.
No, you don't. You absolutely.
But I would if she.
But you would.
I
See?
mean, I care mine if she was lighter. She ain't light, so.
See, Joe can't
Horrible.
do that because he got too many girls. It's like, which one do I pick up?
Yeah,
which
one
do I
on one arm,
catch?
two
Well,
on his back,
I'm
one
talking
on his
about-
leg.
I'm talking about the youngest.
Oh God.
This was
Yeah.
wrong with these girls now.
They need a little daddy spoiling.
All right, so 30 seconds. We'll go kind of round robin, kind of close this out. Any last pieces of advice? We'll start with Michelle. Just last pieces of advice for me in particular, right? I'm about to start navigating this blended family thing. I'm at the very early stages. What advice would you give me?
I would say adults are so hard right now, especially right now. You hear everybody say, I'm protecting my peace. I'm protecting my peace. Remember that with the kids. You have to protect their peace as well. These kids that's out here shooting up the world, building bombs in basements, they are unhappy. They are unhappy because they are in certain situations and parents are not being parents. You have to protect their peace just as much as you protect yours. And you have to have the hard conversations. Stop sweeping stuff under the rug. When you see it, say something. You have to have conversations with them. You have to teach them how to walk through life. You have to guide them. And that's what we're put here to do. And you have to take that job seriously. Is it easy? It's not. It's hard. It wasn't always easy for us. In the beginning, it was very difficult. We tripped over each other all the time, but we were intentional about making sure that they were going to be okay. And at the end of the day, that is our job. You have to protect your children. It is your job to do that. So whatever else is going on, it has nothing to do with them. You have to protect them and their peace.
Got
And
it.
they shouldn't have to deal with your drama. Period.
I'll try my best to keep her out the drama.
Facts.
Joe, last pieces of advice for
Yeah.
me.
All right, so I'll go with this statement: nothing lasts forever, and I mean that in a couple different ways. Some years ago, I worked on a job, and I had a director. He was great. He was like my homeboy. Man, I got away with murder. I did everything I want to, and then I transitioned to a guy who was pretty much a hard ass. He was horrible, worst guy in the world to work with. So I went to the old guy and I said, "Hey, man, I need some advice on how to deal with this dude because he's terrible to work with." And what he told me was, nothing lasts forever. At the time, it was the worst fucking advice I could have gotten in my life. Like, you're not helping me at all. But realistically, he was telling me the truth, right? Sometimes we make a federal offense out of things that we don't have to. Blended families, all kinds of things. We make a big deal out of things that we don't have to. And sometimes it's okay to just kind of wait things out. It's okay to kind of allow things to settle before you decide on what you need to do. When it comes to blended families, we have to give each person the space to acclimate to the surroundings before we start like moving things and say, oh no, this, we got to do this, we got to change this. Let things happen organically. Nothing lasts forever. But I also remember that in the sense, to Michelle's point, where you're protecting your children's peace, because even their childhood and their innocence and the baby and the little and the, oh my God, they're a kid, it doesn't last forever. You know, so as we're doing our job and we're nurturing them to where they need to be, remember to cherish those moments and just kind of sometimes let things be and not necessarily act. So
Love that.
Awesome advice. Awesome.
Love that.
B, you got any more for me?
Yeah. I mean, those are two killer
They
points.
are. Good luck following up.
As always, we got the smartest guests, I swear. So I'm gonna start booking dumb
With
ones.
the,
So I sound smarter. I think what's super important is, and they kind of touched on this though, but the kid comes first, and I think you've already done part of what's important in this. People have to pick better partners. So when you're
Facts.
picking your partner, for me, my kids were the number one consideration, and there were a lot of things after that. But if the kids weren't happy, if I didn't see a vibe with them, if she anyway misstepped, that was like that raised an eyebrow higher. That's like it just wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So it was about me. but it wasn't about me.
Mhm.
So let's start there. I think you've already done that excellently, obviously. But then after that, everything else has to be centered around the child. No matter what other bullshit is going on, no matter how much you hate that motherfucker when he do dumb shit, no matter how the step parent might misstep, because we all misstep. Give grace. As Joel said, take that beat and really think about what's in her best interest,
Mhm.
right? And you might be heated, and it might piss you off, and you might be in a whole like jacked up headspace, but how is that helping her?
Mhm.
How is being salty at him, or arguing with him, or back and forthing with him, or doing a little detrimental shit with you all's child to get back at him because he's pissed you off? How is that helping her? And you're not that type, but I'm saying this in general. Like, people have to remember what the priority is. The priority isn't you. As Joel and Michelle said, the priority is the child or the children. And if we can always keep that centered, if they're always the focus, stuff tends to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll take those gems as I navigate this blended parent situation.
You got this.
You got it.
We'll see.
You got it.
Thank you. Thank our guests. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Michelle, for
Yes,
coming in, hanging
absolutely.
out with us,
Absolutely.
and educating me and the rest of the audience. We will continue Ain't Shit Families Month. What did you call this shit again?
Fucked up family month.
Fucked Up Family
Fucked Up
Month.
So next week I think we're gonna have siblings versus only children.
Oh Lord.
Which way was better to grow up, and which way is better to raise your kid? Your
What
kids?
if you're in the middle? What if you're both?
You can't be a. What do you mean? Either you were a single, either you had brothers and sisters, or you didn't.
I grew up as an only child, but I have 2 siblings.
Well,
Did you-
Sorry,
well,
it's the
that-
thing.
Did you grow up with them?
I mean, I knew them.
Did you grow up?
All right, so you didn't grow up
No,
with
I
them.
did
All
not
right, well,
grow
then,
up with
no,
them.
that's not. That's different. Yep. So we're gonna have that, and then I want to real quick push it out. Sipping s'mores camping trip, Labor Day weekend is coming up. If you and listen, it's not real camping, y'all. It can be. That's what you want it to be. But there's tents, there's cabins. You can bring your RV or your whatever. But it's a great time canoeing, fireside chats around, like really literally around fireside, having adult conversation, paddle boating, costume party, karaoke, movies, archery, rope climbing, like all of that, and lots of liquor and interesting people. So go to sippin'smores.com, check it out. It's a 3-day weekend. We're gonna kick it out in it's a black-owned camp, so support the black businesses, and it's gonna be a good time. Do something different this year. You can keep going to these same parties, or go out there and shake your butt on 31st Street and have somebody let you on their boat. You can do that every weekend. Let's flip it up this weekend and do something a little bit different.
Why let people live?
Come on, it's funny to watch the boat booties, but that's another show. Anyway, see y'all next week. Have a great rest of the week, and we will see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.